Coming up on Dr. Phil.
What are you laughing at? You dirty bitch!
Lie to me, you scumbag. What?
You came from God knows where to do God knows what. But I'll tell you something.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dr. Phil. Today we'll be interviewing some of the most prominent members of New York high society. Names include Jay Gatsby, Tom Buchanan, and the famous golfer Jordan Baker. We will also be bringing some people back from the dead in order to get proper detailed analysis on everyone today. In this episode, we will be breaking down what everyone wants to hear. Who's cheating on who? On another note, who's killed who? Please welcome our first guest of the day, Daisy Buchanan. It's a pleasure to have you, Miss Buchanan.
Please, call me Daisy.
Tell me, Daisy, how are you feeling today? What's the mood?
Well, honestly, I was feeling rather bored before I came onto the show, just now. But I'm getting a sense of exhilaration from being in front of the camera. Is this what celebrities feel like?
I myself would consider you a celebrity, would you not?
Me, a celebrity? I don't think so, Phil.
Your name is a famous one. Everyone in New York knows who you and Tom are.
Well, I do suppose being married to Tom has given me some sort of public attention.
How is your daughter doing?
Oh, she's just a doll. I hope she'll be a fool. That's the best thing a girl can be in this world. A beautiful little fool. Tom is a wonderful father as well.
Speaking of Tom, how is he?
He's fine.
All right, and how's your marriage going?
Our marriage is like any other.
So any other marriage entails cheating on their significant others?
Cheating? That's funny, but people like Tom and I do not participate in such lewd activities.
Really? Because I have someone who says otherwise.
And who would that be? Hey, what are you doing here?
So I understand that you two know each other?
Well, of course I know who Mr. Gatsby is. He hosts some of the biggest parties at his home every week.
That is not what I've come to understand. You and Gatsby have been having an affair, haven't you?
No.
No, Daisy, it is time for us to tell the world of our love for one another. It is alright that you never loved Tom.
Jay.
So it is true. You and Daisy have been having an affair.
That is the truth.
Gatsby, you say that Daisy never loved Tom, correct?
That's right.
Let us ask Daisy then. Daisy, did you ever love Tom?
No.
Can you look me in the eye and tell me with confidence that you never loved Tom Buchanan?
Jay, I'm sorry, but
But what?
I can't say that I never loved Tom because that would be a lie.
Daisy, what are you saying? The only man you've ever loved is me.
Gatsby, she said it herself. She was once in love with Tom and still might be at this very moment.
That's going a bit far, don't you think?
Is it really?
She's just a bit excited from the idea of being on a talk show with all these people and can't think straight.
Daisy, is that the truth? Is all this causing you to lie?
Jay, I'm sorry, but even if we were alone, I would not be able to say I never loved Tom.
Daisy, that's crazy. I know you never loved Tom.
Jay, aren't you asking for too much? I love you now, isn't that enough? What does it matter whether I loved Tom in the past?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Gatsby will have to be leaving us for now. Do not fret, we will see him again very soon.
Daisy, we'll be talking later. Phil, I imagine we'll be speaking again soon.
Well then, Daisy, I believe it would be appropriate for us to get back to the conversation at hand. I have seen your home. It is a magnificent work of art.
Yes, of course. It was constructed and designed by one of the finest architects.
Does your house give you joy?
Joy? What do you mean by that?
What I meant was, do you enjoy living in that house?
But of course I would.
So, would you consider yourself to be happy?
Yeah, I have everything I could ever want.
So you have no regrets at all?
None whatsoever.
What about your marriage to Tom? Would you consider that to be a regret?
I loved him when I married him, but things change.
What things change?
Feelings, they can grow and disappear.
So you're saying that your feelings for Tom are gone?
No.
Are you still willing to leave your husband for Gatsby?
Yes, I'm in love with Gatsby.
Thank you so much for speaking with me, Daisy. We will be speaking again very shortly. Please give her another round of applause. Now let us welcome again, Jay Gatsby. Let's get straight into it then.
I think that is a splendid idea, old sport.
Would you consider Daisy to be the woman of your dreams? In other words, the perfect woman?
Definitely. She's the first nice girl I ever met, and a nice girl is something I never had.
Would you say that you have a nice girl now? Can you definitively say that Daisy is yours?
Of course, old sport. She's loved me all this time.
Then why didn't she wait for you to come back from the war?
You know, old sport, I might still be a great man if I could only forget that I once lost Daisy.
So you consider the fact that she didn't wait for you to be a mistake?
Well, of course.
And she loved you all this time, did she not?
That should be obvious, old sport.
Then why did she get married to Tom Buchanan rather than to you?
A mistake, old sport. Everybody makes them, even a perfect woman like Daisy.
That is interesting that you say that, Mr. Gatsby, because I understand that Daisy was unwilling to wait for you due to other reasons. Would you like to hear them?
Yes.
Roll the clip.
I was unwilling to wait for Gatsby because I wanted my life to shape immediately. I did not have the time or the patience to wait for a man I wasn't certain he was coming home.
Well, you're simply wrong, old sport.
How so? Did Daisy not marry Tom while you were away at war?
A mistake is what it was.
Mistake or not, she was unwilling to wait for you because she wanted her life to take shape at that very moment, and you could not do that for her.
Well, it doesn't really matter, old sport. Daisy loved me then, she loves me now.
You say that, but just a little while ago, Daisy stated that she loved Tom.
Old sport, she was referring to the past, and she was just a bit excited, that's all.
I had her cousin, Nick, ask her when they were alone together if she ever loved Tom, and she answered yes.
Nick, what a wonderful man. I ought to take him swimming in my pool someday.
Speaking of Nick, do you actually like the man, or are you simply using him to get closer to Daisy?
Nick, that's an absurd question. He and I are great friends.
Your intentions when you first approached him was to use him to get closer to Daisy. Is that correct?
Not exactly.
But that was the main part of your intentions then?
Well, I guess you could say that, but he and I are good friends now, so the past doesn't matter.
The past doesn't matter?
That is what I said, old sport.
That is somewhat ironic considering how fixated on the past you are.
Ironic in what way?
You are still obsessed with Daisy, a woman you haven't seen in quite a while.
It'll be 5 years this November.
So you've been keeping track?
Well, of course, she's the only girl that I ever loved.
I feel like you are attempting to recreate the past.
What's wrong with that, old sport?
You can never recreate the past, Mr. Gatsby.
Can I recreate the past? Sure you can, old sport.
Daisy is a married woman now. Don't you think you should move on?
Move on. I knew that when I kissed this girl, I would forever be wed to her.
Yet she's married to another man.
A man she has never loved.
Please welcome Tom Buchanan to the stage. So, how are you feeling today, Tom?
Swell. Up until this maniac started making assumptions about my wife.
What assumptions has he made?
He claimed that Daisy never loved me and said he has been in love with him all this time.
And you say that's untrue?
Of course it is. Even an imbecile would know that it is a blatant lie.
Why is that, Tom?
Well, Daisy didn't even know that this swine was alive for the past 5 years. She never loved me. You are a funny man, a stupid one as well. She chose to marry me. She chose to stay with me. I may get lost along the way, but in the end, I always come back to her.
Lost? Old sport, I think the things that you've done while married to Daisy are more severe than simply being lost.
What do you know about us? We are different. I am. Daisy is. We are different from you. You see, Mr. Gatsby, we were born different. It is in our blood.
So you believe that people like you are above, say, people like Gatsby?
Of course, we are different.
Would you mind explaining the difference to me between someone like you and someone like Gatsby? Because I understand both of you are extremely wealthy.
Heritage! People like Daisy and I were born different from Gatsby here. We are simply not the same type of people. We are better than people like him!
That brings me to the question of why you would lower yourself to be with a woman like Myrtle Wilson.
Myrtle? How do you know about her?
Tom, I do my research. I believe that you excessively cheat on your wife, Daisy, because you are unable to move on from the past. You are stuck trying to relive the glory days of your youth and are unable to do so. Football was your life, and now that you're grown old, there's no place for that in your life. You feel out of place wherever you go and feel the need to prove that you belong. You do this by exerting your wealth and status on people you consider inferior to yourself. You feel a void in your life and attempt to fill that void with wealth and women. Do you think that was a good analysis, Mr. Buchanan?
What are you laughing at? You're nothing but a common swindler who would steal the ring you put on your woman's finger. You came from God knows where to do God knows what. But I'll tell you something, Jay. Stay away from my wife and I.
Never! Daisy and I are destined for each other.
Is she now? And what will Daisy think when she so finds out that you've been lying about you're an Oxford man? Are you, Gatsby?
Not exactly, old sport.
Shut up! You went to Oxford, didn't you? You're an Oxford man.
I only attended for 5 months, so I can't really call myself an Oxford man.
I hate to interrupt, but I would like to ask Mr. Gatsby a question.
Hit me, old sport.
You say you're from the Midwest, correct?
Why, yes, San Francisco.
And you say that you were born into a wealthy family from whom you inherited all the money?
Yes, they've all died, and as the last member of the family, I received all of the money.
That's interesting that you say that, Mr. Gatsby, because San Francisco isn't in the Midwest, and I have one of your relatives saying that you were born poor.
Well, I was never good at geography.
But it still stands that you lied about where you came from.
Old sport, let's have some evidence before we go around accusing people of such things.
I do have some. I have a letter from your father detailing your childhood. Would you like to see it? You did not come from a wealthy family. You're not from the Midwest, and your name isn't really James Gatsby. You were born into a poor family on a farm in North Dakota, and your real name is James Gatz.
You're a fraud! Nothing about you is real! You are nothing but a figment of imagination!
Tom, let's calm ourselves. I will allow you to express yourself in a moment.
Alright.
Tell me, Gatsby, why do you feel the need to lie about your past to create this backstory? I find your true backstory to be very inspirational and a great representation of the American dream.
Why?
Yes?
I'll answer that for him. He knows deep down that he will never be one of us, so he fakes it. He wants to fit in with my crowd so that he feels like his relationship with Daisy isn't completely blasphemous. He will never be one of us no matter how much he lies or how much money he amazes from his dodgy business.
Gatsby, would you like to respond to Tom?
Doesn't matter what Tom says, whether it is true or not, Daisy loves me.
So it is true then, or else why would you feel the need to lie about your past?
It's not exactly right.
Isn't it? You want to fit in with Daisy's crowd and feel right when you're with her. So you lie. You created Jay Gatsby to fit in.
Oh, I guess that's somewhat true.
Thank you so much for speaking with me, Mr. Gatsby. But now I'd like to speak with Tom alone. So Tom, what is your relationship like with Myrtle Wilson?
I would never lower myself to be with a woman of her standing.
You say that, but you did.
She was nothing but a fling, and that's all I'm going to say.
But you still had a relationship with her.
I never loved her, so I wouldn't consider it a relationship.
What do you think she'd say?
It doesn't matter. She's dead.
She was dead.
What are you talking about?
Tom, don't you think you could take back what you said?
How is it possible that you're still alive?
We pulled a Frankenstein on her. Don't think too much about it. Well, Myrtle, I'm gonna get straight to the point, considering you're only gonna be alive for the next 24 hours.
Well, yeah, Phil. I'm gonna get everything off my chest before I return to the grave.
Where would you like to start? I hear that he broke your nose before. Would you like to start there?
Well, yeah.
You dirty
Daisy.
Shut up!
I was stunned. I wouldn't imagine him ever doing such a thing.
You wouldn't shut the hell up about Daisy.
That skink of a woman, Daisy. I want the whole world to know that Tom does not love Daisy and wanted to leave her for me, and that's a fact.
Why didn't he?
It's because Daisy's a Catholic, and they don't believe in divorce.
You say she's a Catholic?
Yeah, Tom told me himself.
I hate to break it to you, Myrtle, but Daisy's not a Catholic.
Lies.
Why don't you ask Tom? He's sitting right next to you.
Tom, honey. Tom, you couldn't leave Daisy for me just because she's Catholic. You lied to me, you scumbag. Why would you lie to me?
Shut up, woman!
Why, Tom? Why would you lie to me? Answer me, you scumbag. I'm already dead. Can't you give me some answers so I can die in peace?
Myrtle, I
may be able to give you some solace, Myrtle.
Say it.
Myrtle, you should have known that Tom was never going to leave Daisy for you.
A woman like me? A woman like me? I'm a better woman than Daisy could ever dream to be.
don't say her name!
Why can't I? I'm going to say it as much as I want. Daisy, 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 Daisy.
Listen to me, woman! I said stop!
Daisy, Daisy, Daisy.
Shut it with you!
Tom, let's calm down.
I don't understand, Tom. You said you love me. Do you even want me?
I did love you, but...
But you were not his equal. He could never marry you. Let's give her some peace of mind, Tom. She needs to hear it from you, your mouth. Would you leave Daisy for Myrtle? And don't lie to me.
No.
So you're leading her on with the hope that she could one day marry you.
That is not exactly the truth, Phil. Someone like you wouldn't understand.
Help me understand, Tom. I want to understand.
I did love her, but I couldn't.
Couldn't what?
I couldn't marry her!
Then why did you lead her on, knowing she believed you would one day marry her? I don't think anyone would do that to someone they love. You never loved her. You simply used her in your free time.
I wouldn't have...
You have never taken responsibility for anything you've done or anyone you've hurt. Do you ever plan to?
Responsibility for what?
The one right in front of you, Myrtle.
Explain it!
You took advantage of this poor girl's feelings just so that you could release some sexual tension.
She should have known that someone like me could never be with a woman like her!
So you don't intend to take responsibility for what you've done to her?
Why should I? I am above such problems.
Do you feel that way about everything you do?
Of course, I was born different.
Myrtle, how do Tom's words make you feel?
I don't feel anything anymore. He's just like George.
How is he like George?
He can't see the value of a woman right in front of his eyes.
So what you're saying is that they both weren't good enough for you.
Yes, I think that's a good interpretation.
So what kind of man is good enough for you?
A man who understands my worth and can give me the life I deserve.
Describe that.
I want to be revered, I want to be flashy, and I want to be served.
So you want to live like an elite?
Of course.
I'm sure Tom would have been able to give you that.
He gave me a taste, and that was it. He gave me a single taste and expected me to not to crave more. He could have given me more if Daisy wasn't a part of the picture.
Okay. You keep on bringing Daisy's name into this conversation. Tell me, Myrtle, why do you hate her so much?
If she wasn't hogging the life I deserve, maybe I'd be happy.
But that isn't Daisy's fault, is it? She had no intentions of blocking you from having the life you wanted. Instead, she chose a married man. How can you blame Daisy for any of this? If there's anyone to blame, shouldn't it be you and Tom?
Me?
For starters, Tom, you led Myrtle on knowing she wanted to marry you, and Myrtle, you decided to have an affair with a married man.
There's no possible way I could be to blame for this. I was just trying to live the life I deserve.
The life you deserve? You keep on repeating that. Would you honestly have been with Tom if he wasn't wealthy?
No, I would only ever be with the man I thought could give me the life I deserve.
Then why did you marry George Wilson? He's not even remotely wealthy.
He was a mistake.
A mistake? Well, you must have loved him in order to marry him. Or else, why would you do it?
I've been told you it was a mistake. I thought I loved him. I guess I didn't.
And do you think he feels the same way?
I have no idea what he thinks, nor do I care. He is as stupid as they come. He isn't even his own man.
Well then, thank you. Please welcome George Wilson to the stage.
Still gonna sell me that car, right? Thank you.
Now George has been kept completely in the dark about what has been going on the stage. How are you feeling, George?
This is amazing. I've never been on a talk show before. Glad my wife gets to experience this too.
And how is your marriage with Myrtle?
Well, I know she loves and trusts me, but the devil tempted her.
Devil?
Yes, Mr. J. Gatsby. He tempted my wife and she couldn't resist.
So would you consider your wife to be content with the life you've given her?
Yes, I think she was. We were planning on moving out west before Mr. J. Gatsby ran my wife over and killed her.
You then proceeded to kill Mr. Gatsby and then yourself, right?
Correct.
How content could she really be with your marriage if she was finding comfort in another man's arms? And do you think that says something about your performance as a husband?
Adam and Eve were content in the Garden of Eden, but the devil tempted them. My wife was happy with me.
And what of your performance as a husband?
I gave her everything she could possibly want.
Everything I wanted, you poor bastard. You must not know anything, do you?
Watch your tone, woman. God is watching.
You gave me nothing in life. My marriage to you was a mistake.
A mistake? We are bound by our love and a sacred agreement we made with God.
To hell and God with you.
Don't speak on the Lord's name like that, Myrtle.
All right. Let's calm it down a bit. I've been meaning to ask you, George, where do you think your wife goes when she leaves home?
I used to think that she went to go and see her sister. Now I'm not so sure about that.
Do you think she could have gone and seen her lover?
Yes, maybe. I don't know.
I'm going to tell you, George, that your wife was in fact going to see her lover.
Myrtle, you may have fooled me with this, but God sees and knows all.
Shut up, you God.
And who do you think killed your wife?
Well, Tom tells me it was Mr. J. Gatsby.
Did he also tell you that was the man that she was having an affair with?
Yes?
I have something to tell you, George. Gatsby did not kill your wife and was not having an affair with her either.
That can't be. Tom told me himself, and Tom doesn't ever lie.
I'm sorry, but he did. It was Daisy, Tom's wife, who killed Myrtle, and it was Tom who was sleeping with your wife.
George, it's the truth. You weren't enough for me, and you never were.
Get your dirty hands off me!
Stop that, George. It's not your fault. You could have never given me the life I deserve.
Tom, is that why you were coming to my store all this time? You were never going to sell me that car, were you?
You're dumber than a bag of rocks. You should have been able to see that, Myrtle. You're unsatisfied with that life.
Tom, not even God will forgive you for destroying our sacred bond.
Now that you know that it was Tom who was with your wife and Daisy who killed Myrtle, do you feel any guilt for killing Gatsby?
Oh God, I killed an innocent man.
He is not innocent.
Let's give a big thank you to Tom, Myrtle, and George. Let's give a warm welcome to our final guests on the show today, Nick and Jordan.
Pleasure to be here.
Why, thank you, everyone.
What are your guys' thoughts on Gatsby's infamous parties?
Why, they are wonderful. I like large parties. They're so intimate. At small parties, there isn't any privacy.
How many people would you say go to these parties?
Well, it doesn't even matter. Enough people for me to find Nick.
And did you ever love Nick?
Yes, I did. I hate careless people. That's why I liked him. He was so careless and charming. I told him everything because I trusted that he wouldn't say anything to anyone. But I didn't care or give a if he did.
Nick, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Jordan's a lovely girl, despite her dishonesty.
I'm glad you brought that up. Jordan, why do you lie so much?
Well, it doesn't affect me in any sort of way. Yet again, I just don't care. As long as it doesn't affect me, I'll say it and do whatever I want.
Good to know. And would you consider yourself to be good friends with Daisy?
Why, of course.
How come you feel the need to tell everyone about her personal business?
What makes you think I tell everyone? Please don't disrespect me like that again. I only told Nick her business because that's her cousin and he should know what's going on with Daisy. He deserves to know, so don't make it seem like I'm the bad guy for telling Nick what's going on.
Nick, you're awful quiet over there. What exactly did Jordan tell you?
She was the one who brought Tom's affair to my attention. According to her, everyone already knew about it, so it didn't matter, rather, or not, she told me. She was also the person to tell me about Gatsby. Without her, I doubt any of this would have happened.
Nick, are you seriously trying to pin this on me?
I would never try to pin the blame on someone else, but you must admit that you played a part in all of this drama.
I would never admit to something like that because it isn't true.
You are.
Yes, Nick, you were the one who made it possible for Gatsby and Daisy to meet. One could even say you were to blame for Gatsby's death.
Phil, this is going too far.
Is it? George would have never gone after Gatsby if you never brought him to Daisy and Tom's attention.
He brings up a good point, Nick.
Nick, you just seem to be playing both sides. You go to a party with Tom and his mistress and then come back home just to set Daisy up with another man. Can you really say that you're their friends?
Yes.
You don't seem very confident in your answer.
Well, when you're bringing up the things that I have done, I am not sure anymore. I feel like I'm a horrible person.
I do not think you're a horrible person, Nick. Would you like to hear my opinion?
Please.
I believe that you're a man devoid of any willpower. You bend to anyone and everyone for anything. You may not want to do something, but you cannot withstand the pressure others apply when asking for something. This does not make you a bad person, just a weak one. This does not excuse you from what you've done, though.
I understand.
Nick, if you take responsibility for what you have done, you can be forgiven.
That is somewhat ironic coming from you, Jordan.
You must not know who you're speaking to. I'm Jordan Baker.
That doesn't seem to mean anything to me.
It should, Phil.
I have a source telling me that you ruined your friend's leather car upholstery and you simply lied your way out of it.
I already told you, Phil. I did not directly cause these problems, and they have no effect on me. So why should it matter?
That's how you feel about all things, right? Tell me, who is Jordan Baker if not a cheat and a liar?
You're being awfully rude, Phil. Jordan Baker is one of the most desired women in the United States, and you can't seem to understand that.
I'm just quoting what other people have said about you.
I did not come on this show to argue.
Where are you going?
I'm truly sorry about her, Phil.
No need to apologize. This gives me a chance to ask some questions more directed towards you. Now, circling back to Gatsby, you've always said you were disapproving of him. If this is true, why did you continue to hang out with him?
I felt compelled because he was my neighbor, and well, he made me feel special because I was the only one to get an invite to his parties.
Well, you do realize that the only reason you got an invite was because he was going to use you.
Perhaps.
Okay, and do you think Daisy should be punished for killing Myrtle?
Yes, I should have owned up to my mistakes and told someone.
How come you didn't tell anyone that Daisy was the one who killed her?
I just don't enjoy being the middle of things.
Well, I wish every single one of you best of luck. This concludes our episode today. Thank you everyone for coming.
Dr. Phil is a I don't like him at all. He tried to make me look bad in front of my baby Nick.
I hate Nick too. He didn't defend me in front of that old, raggedy, stupid man. I hate both of them. I hate everybody on the show. Dr. Phil didn't give me enough screen time. I deserve the spotlight.
So as I was saying,
Jordan, your legs are really hairy.
What did you say? Repeat it.
Everyone is laughing.
What did you say? Repeat it. Repeat it. That's
You know, I don't know what that was all about. You know, Jordan coming in, just picking me up, attacking me with a locker. I mean, so what? Her legs are a little hairy.
Excuse me. Do you want me to beat you up again?
I think Dr. Phil was very rude to bring out Gatsby, especially because he knows that's a sensitive topic for me.
Okay, go.
And he's bald, so he shouldn't be talking.
You go, girl.
I had a swell time on the show. He was a real character, and I love this bald head.